Good evening to all the participants, and good evening, Mr. Vincent sir, Principal Consultant and Program Director, Silva Management Services. We are going to have a very interesting webinar on managing the transition from employment to entrepreneurship. Just to briefly introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. Vincent De Silva, over 25 years of industrial and consulting experience in reputed organizations, and has handled several corporate projects and productivity improvement and HRD. He is an expert at assessment design, delivery, and implementation of a wide assortment of customized programs created to enhance personal effectiveness. He is visiting faculty at many premier business schools in India, and his articles have been published in many business magazines. And Vincent De Silva is a mechanical engineer from VJTI Mumbai and an MBA from the SP Jain Institute. With a team of research assistants, he networks extensively with other specialist consultants on specific projects assignments. For AMA, he is our very senior faculty member and supporting very much to our activities. And I'm sure that with his great background, you will have a very interesting session today. Sir, I'm handing over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, good evening, friends. Very warm welcome to this particular session that we will have for the next 1 hour on moving from employment to entrepreneurship. Yeah, thank you for your time and for your trust. I will go through with this presentation for around 40 minutes, and then we will spend the last 15 minutes in a small discussion, and I will try and answer some of the questions that you have to the best of my ability. This particular presentation is going live on Zoom right now, where we have so far around 40 participants, and it's also going live on YouTube, where we have a large number of people who have logged in from there. So briefly, the content of my session will be taking the entrepreneurship journey, the mindset and the skill sets that are required for success, the important power of grit and resilience. How do you create the business plan, the minimum value product, and the business model canvas? These 3 documents are very essential, especially when you go in for the funding process. We'll talk about the 3 important S's and the 7 competencies that you require to have for business growth, the mechanism of using support systems to stay the course, and last of all, we will end with the question and answer session. So I would suggest you don't take down, what is there on the screen, because I can send you a copy of this presentation. And in any case, a recording of this particular event will be available on YouTube for your viewing again. Let's talk about the road to fulfillment, which is very important. We might have a few students in this particular group today. So we generally start as students of life, and then one day we take up a job, become an employee. Hopefully, at some point of time, we might decide to become an entrepreneur in the way it is supposed to be done. Some of us might decide to go in for freelancing. Eventually, at some point of time, we might end up becoming a philanthropist. When you look at people like Bill Gates, when you look at people like Michael Dell, who have created very strong foundations for the world with their big, hairy, audacious goals, we automatically realize the importance of doing something for the community and for something for the people in the world around us. Now, it's very important for all of us to, look at the aspect of career planning. Career planning is ideally done in 10-year segments. Most children get out of school and college at the age of 22. It is recommended that the first 10 years should be spent on very broad-based learning and networking. In other words, you don't become a specialist, but you acquire a lot of generalist skills. Hopefully, after 10 years, when you reach 32, you then look at the possibility of becoming a niche expert. In other words, you try to look at, some very specialist skills that you need to acquire in order to be able to achieve success. Because once you approach 42, you then need to start thinking of your position in terms of acquiring a C-level designation in the organization that you are working with. Now, very often, a lot of us go through life without giving too much of importance to our careers. But we must always realize that nobody in this world cares for us more than we ourselves. And therefore, it shouldn't happen at the age of 42 when you go for a job interview and the person asks you, what type of experience have you got? You shouldn't be telling the person, see, I've got 20 years of experience. I worked for 5 years in the first company, 7 years in the second company, and 8 years in the third company. And then the interviewer will automatically ask you, so what did you do in those companies? And then if you have to respond with an answer like, I basically did whatever the boss asked me to do, there is very little chance that you will be able to get a position that is going to make you satisfied in terms of the competencies and capabilities that you ideally should have developed. So therefore, 40 or 42 is a very critical phase of life where you need to start planning for the future, planning for the big level position that you want to hold in the organization. And then in another 10 years' time, at 52, you have to definitely start planning for retirement. A lot of people sometimes don't give retirement the kind of importance it deserves. And then all of a sudden, when you reach 60, you might decide you've still got about 10 to 15 years of your active life left. Because except for the COVID situation that we are facing today, a lot of people in many parts of the world are expected to live until 100 in the future. And therefore, if you retire at 60 and I've got nothing to look forward in terms of adding something to your life, in terms of your contribution, the process of aging will set in very, very quickly. And that is why this plan for retirement starting at the age of 52 becomes very, very important. I see a lot of people say, at the age of 58 or 60, I will decide, maybe I will take a coaching assignment. The sad part is if you start coaching and you start something on your own at the age of 60, there are not many people who are actually going to call you. You wouldn't have been able to build your capabilities and your client base to be able to ensure your success. And therefore, my dear friends, to avoid a miserable life after you cross the age of 60, it's very important to give a lot of seriousness to your plan for retirement, especially when you touch the age of 52. Most people in the world opt to go as employees. There are very few people who take the path of entrepreneurship. And this is a sad thing because today in a country like India, almost 17 to 18 million people look for jobs every year. And therefore, it is absolutely important for us to get into the zone of job creation instead of, just looking for a job where we are going to work for someone else. I know that Steve Jobs and Bill Gates have made entrepreneurship look very trendy, but it's not always very easy. The journey is difficult. You need a lot of grit. You need a lot of resilience. You need the right strategy, the right systems, and the right mindset and skill sets, which we will talk about in the next 45 minutes. And most importantly, I think the country demands an ecosystem for entrepreneurs, a platform where we can build, connect, and grow entrepreneurs so that we are able to drive our economy more effectively in the future. The COVID has automatically, dropped our chances of growth by at least around 10 to 14%. And we just hope that we get control over this virus as quickly as possible. Otherwise, it's going to be a very big bottleneck for us to be able to handle in the future. But there is also an opportunity because as you look around the world today, you don't find too many Googles and Apples. And therefore, we believe that there is a chance for us to get into that zone of, creating a big enterprise where the world will be able to look upon us in terms of a very productive contribution. So how do you get ideas for starting your own enterprise? Some people decide to dream. You can dream by taking a sabbatical. Some people go on a holiday. Some people get a brilliant idea even in the bathtub. Sometimes you can get an idea by asking. Ask your family, ask your friend. When I was working in a company about 20 years ago, I asked my boss, in terms of some of the talents that you have identified in me, is there something different that I can do in terms of my career, in terms of my life? And the boss can sometimes be in a position to guide you effectively. Sometimes it's important to read the biographies of successful people, of read other, books that will help you to kindle the desire to do something different in life. And then, of course, see. People attend trade fairs, they visit exhibitions where they can probably look for new possibilities, new ideas, and then be able to achieve success. There are over 100 ways in which you can, find avenues for impact. And at the end of the session, I will recommend for you a few books that you can try to read to be able to nurture those kind of ideas. One could be, can I improve my offering? For example, today people are offering, organic vegetables, which we probably never heard of many years ago. Or can I reduce loss of time? So when I buy an Excite battery, the shopkeeper says, you don't need to look at this battery for the next 3 years. And I say, don't I need to put in distilled water every now and then? He says, no, this is new technology. You don't need to do anything like that. Or maybe you would like to solve problems. I remember when I was in school, I used to have a fountain pen, and I could never predict when it could actually stop writing until somebody devised the cartridge. And then I felt a little secure carrying a fountain pen around. Sometimes you can lower the price. In the pandemic, we've seen all kinds of courier services, starting in the city of Mumbai in a very innovative way, at very innovative prices, trying to deliver whatever you want in a very safe and secure manner. And then last of all, you need to see whether you can add value. Okay, so when I buy chicken today, I get skinned chicken, which is cut, and it's so convenient, in terms of the value I see. Or if I buy a bottle of mineral water at the airport, the price is higher, but the quality of the bottle is so good that I feel like preserving it even after the water is over. So my dear friends, you have to constantly look for avenues for impact. And today there is a lot of material that is available that can trigger the need for looking at new ideas so that we can nurture them. When you become an entrepreneur, you need to have a different mindset, especially if you're moving out of employment. You no longer have a team, so you are the team yourself, at least initially. You don't have the boss or the board of directors to give you goals. You set your own goals. Your role is more of a generalist. You'll have to do a lot of little things all over the place. You don't have a structure, unlike the corporate organization where you could have reporting relationships to 2 or 3 bosses. Learning is all up to you. You have to be self-motivated. You're going to have to do with limited resources. In fact, you will need to be resourceful. The growth is non-linear. It's totally in your hands. The risk is higher. The compensation is sometimes unpredictable. The work hours could be irregular. And the uncertainty sometimes will not be very easily identified. So you must be prepared for these kind of mindsets when you get into the entrepreneurship mode. A lot of us in the world have seen this beautiful diagram called Ikigai. Find the intersection of what you love to do, what the world needs, what you are good at, and what you get paid for. Of course, you must be a little cautious in today's world. For me, the blue zone and the yellow zone is very important. There are so many people today who have launched their businesses, especially as coaches and trainers. And they say, my mission is to impact 10,000 people in the next 1 year. And I'm very passionate about training and coaching. But please understand, having a purpose and having passion is not good enough. Today, the world demands competence. So if you're not proficient, if you're not able to deliver results, after some time, people will consider you to be a scam. So therefore, increasingly in the world today, competence and proficiency is becoming extremely important. And then whatever you do, you must be able to generate revenue that is going to help you to grow the enterprise or grow the business that you're running. A lot of people are allergic to money, but please understand that unless you are able to get profit, how are you going to recycle, the resources so that you are able to grow the business and ensure that you are able to achieve success? A lot of people today continue to do free webinars, free WhatsApp programs. But if you just continue to do just free, and free, how will you actually monetize your talent, your capability, and create the right kind of impact? So you need to be a little careful about this aspect. A lot of successful people in this world, my dear friends, have encountered failures. Narayan Murthy's first attempted business in terms of Softronics was a huge failure. The first version of Indica that was launched in 1998 did not do very well. Ritesh Agarwal, who is today very well renowned in charge of Oyo, had a very difficult time when he launched his first enterprise, Oravel. And Sunil Bharti Mittal, when he started his generator business before getting into telecom, had a very rough time when the government suddenly changed policies. So my dear friends, please understand that in this world, success is always shabby. Even if you plan very well, it's not likely that what you plan will go exactly as per the schedule that you have drawn up. You will have a lot of ups and downs, and you will have to live through these ups and downs so that ultimately you're able to achieve a lot of success. So what are the 5 stages of becoming an entrepreneur? The first is you need to discover. And the most important thing you need to discover is discover a market and recognize where the opportunity in the market actually lies. Then you need to develop the concept by preparing a business proposal, which I will talk about shortly. You need to list 2 critical resources that you will require to run your business. Okay, money and manpower. You need to get into the zone of actualization, because please understand, ideation is only 5% of the job. Execution is 95%. A lot of people in the world have had brilliant ideas. Hotmail came much before Google. But in terms of executing the idea effectively through the right business model, if you don't succeed there, you're not going to make too much of success. And last of all, you need to harvest in terms of constantly deciding through innovation on your future growth. And sometimes when the going gets tough, as you are seeing in the world today, you also need a strategy to exit the business and exit without causing too much of pain to the ecosystem and to all the stakeholders who have given you so much of faith in the past. So my dear friends, entrepreneurship has to find a lot of importance in these 5 critical stages, which will actually help you to succeed. One of the most important documents that you require to prepare when you get into business is called the business plan. And it starts with the business vision document, which actually includes 3 key elements. The vision document includes vision. In other words, where is it that you're going to be 5 years, 10 years from today? It includes your mission. What is the purpose of the business? And then most importantly, you also need to include 5 or 6 values that you will honor no matter what as you drive the business to higher levels of growth and success. It's very important to do the market scenario correctly and to also ensure that you do your SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And today there are lots of tools, lots of templates on how this is done. And I'll give you the links to the resources so that you can use these documents and then be able to plan your business more effectively. You need to definitely have goals, short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. And each of those goals has to have measurable objectives, numbers against which you will measure. So for example, if I run a business, okay, profitability is a goal, but then I have to put a number for profitability. Growth is a goal. Reduction of capital employed is a goal. Innovation is a goal. How do I measure innovation? Does 5% of my turnover every year or 20% of my turnover every year come from 5% of the products that did not exist 5 years ago? I have to have some kind of a goal for innovation. I have to have a goal for product and service quality. I need to have a goal for customer experience or customer satisfaction. I need to have a goal for employee satisfaction, because unless my employees are well taken care of, it's going to be hard for the customers to see the kind of delightful experience that I will go around promising them. And then I get into the marketing strategy, which is very critical for success today. I need to be very carefully identifying my product. I need to have some kind of a unique selling proposition which will help me to stand out, which will give me pricing power. Because if I do what everybody else does, then I'm not going to become a brand. I'm going to become a commodity, and then it's going to be difficult for me to get the right price. I need to have the right amount of customer centricity in the entire process. And then I need to look at the distribution system, which is called place, how I'm going to advertise and promote the product. And most importantly, in today's world, pricing becomes very critical. And as I look at my marketing mix, I need to constantly look at the market, identify the segment I'm going to look at, what is the targeting that I'm going to do, and how am I going to position this particular product. Those who have gone through a full-time MBA program would have realized that we spend a lot of time, almost a year, understanding this entire ecosystem of marketing, which is so critical for success. And then you need to have an execution plan, which is sometimes called an operational plan, in terms of what type of people will you hire, what's their composition, what's their role. You definitely need to have a financial plan. Where are the funds going to come from? What are the kind of returns you're going to get? And what are the kind of risks involved in case somebody decides to give you his money? And then last and most important is the execution plan or the implementation plan, which is very, very critical for success. And the difficult part in this entire planning process, my dear friends, is in the 1960s, the average life of a company was 60 years. In 2020, the average life of a company has come down to 10 to 12 years. So you don't expect a company to survive for more than 10 to 12 years. It's so easy to start a company today. You just need a room, you need a laptop, you need internet connectivity, and you can get going with your business. Even companies like Google and Apple, sometimes worry at night whether someone in a garage will overnight, come out with a product or service and, render their business model extinct in no period of time. Yeah, you just can't take success for granted today, and you constantly need to create and recreate your business plan. Now, when you decide to take your product to the market, a very good concept that people follow today is called the minimum viable product. In other words, let's say, for example, I have decided to launch a complete program on employee to entrepreneurship. I must tell you that I'm not doing it. I'm just doing this program at the invitation of AMA to do this particular module. Okay, but if I were to launch a complete program from beginning to end, I would probably just create a 3-hour presentation like the one I'm making today to you for 1 hour. Test out, see how many people are excited about what I have to offer, and then go into depth to create the final product. Yeah, so therefore, if there is a problem, which I define as a current state, I find some kind of a mechanism which will help me to solve the problem. I start conducting a few raw tests. I start moving the product around at a low speed to see whether it's actually going to work. And then probably I launch the product. It's not complete, but it's got most of the functional aspects in place. and then I watch for feedback. I maybe do a little bit of test market. The idea basically is, the mantra in the world today is make it, screw it, redo it. Yeah, so Richard Branson taught the world, okay, make it, screw it, redo it. In other words, version 1 is always better than version 1, none. Version 1 is always better than version none. Many people in the world tend to be perfectionists. So until the product is absolutely perfect, or the idea has been completely, perfectly identified, they feel very scared to actually go ahead and test the idea in the market. And the minimum viable product says, just take a minimum viable product without everything there in place if required, and see what the market talks about what you have to offer them. Yeah, there are beautiful books and articles on Google today which talk about how companies are using the minimum viable product to be able to launch their products and services and achieve a lot of success. One of the most important documents that the world will ask you whenever you start a business is called the Business Model Canvas. And the Business Model Canvas basically has got 9 critical elements. So what are the elements that the Business Model Canvas will actually look at? First is, if you go to a funding organization, they are going to grill you on all these 9 aspects. They're going to ask you questions like, who are your key partners? Who are the people who are actually going to help you build and deliver the product to the users? What are the key activities that are involved in this entire project? What do you actually need to build this product and to deliver the product? What are the key resources that you will be requiring to build the product? What is the value proposition that you have? In other words, why will the world actually come to your door to take the product? How are you going to build relationships with your clients? Because relationships today are everything. Most important, how are you going to get your product to the customer? What kind of distribution channels? Are you going to use B2B, B2C, or B2CH? Business to business, business to consumer, business to channel. What customer segments are you expecting to target? What are the different types of customers that you expect to get? What is going to be the cost of you building this particular product? So we would like to see the cost structure. And most importantly, how are you going to get the money from the customer? What is going to be your revenue stream? Like if you see Google, I use Google for email, I use Google for doing so many things in life, and I don't pay Google at all. So where does Google get its revenue from? Yeah, you need to make sure that you're very, very clear in terms of the revenue streams that you have for your business. Now, if you go to Google and just type Business Model Canvas, and you put any organization in the world, the best organization in the world, Google will show you the business model canvas that they have created. And when you see this business model canvas, you'll see it is never written in pen. You always use Post-its to create a business model canvas. So that every night before you go to bed, you can take the Post-it and put a new Post-it to say, no, I've got a better idea. I've got a different approach. I have got a different method of, enhancing my customer relationship. I've got a different value proposition that I can offer. So therefore, every night I keep changing, and improving my business model canvas until I'm totally satisfied and happy with what I have created. So now, my friends, the last part, how do you drive business growth? McKinsey many years ago gave us 7 S's, which some of you might be familiar with. But today, the 3 most important S's are skills, systems, and strategies. To run a business, you need to have a competent and you need to have a committed team. Unfortunately, today, many organizations have got competent, but they are not committed. They don't follow the rules, they don't follow the processes, and sometimes the company could be at risk. There are some companies, very unfortunately, they have very committed people. I love the boss loves me. But over the years, I'm not enhanced my competence. So increasingly, I'm now becoming a liability to the organization. You need systems in the company which are simple, because if they are too complex, nobody will follow the system. And you need systems which are sustainable. I cannot change my ERP system every year. When I create a new system, I hope that it will help me to run my business for the growth path that I have at least for 5 years. My strategies have to be magnetic. In other words, instead of me running after the customer because I am solving the customer's problem, I should actually have customers run after me. And therefore, can I devise magnetic strategies? But today you can spend a lot of money advertising on Facebook and spending a lot of money promoting your product. At the end of the day, the strategy that you use should be able to create profitability for the organization. Now, all this has to be driven by a very clear goal clarity and a very high performance culture in the business. Because if goal clarity is not there and the culture of the business is not there, then you're going to have a little problem in terms of achieving success. The plan will all look good on paper, but implementation will suffer a lot. There are 7 key business competencies that are very critical. The most important function in business today is marketing. And as you know, marketing stands for lead generation. I need to be good nowadays in digital marketing. I need to be good at organizing events. I need to be good at referral marketing. I need to be extremely good at telemarketing or cold calling. Because if I'm not good at all this, then it's going to be trouble. I need to have a good name for the organization or my product, which inspires, which is original, which will help me to register the domain properly on the internet. I need to have a good logo. I need to have a good tagline. All this is a part of marketing. And then you have sales. If marketing is lead generation, sales is revenue generation. The leads have to be converted into revenue. I need to be able to find the right value for my customer and find the right customers. Because some customers could end up creating a lot of pain for my business if they do not buy it at the right price and do not pay me in time. I need to make sure that there is proper customer connect. I need to have a good elevator pitch if I'm a salesperson. I need to master the art of cross-selling. I need to know upselling. I need to know whether my business this year needs farming or needs hunting. Farming is just retain the current customers and see that they don't leave me. Hunting is spend at least 20% of my day looking for new customers. I need to ensure that my proposal is done effectively, where I specify the 3 critical parameters of quality, cost, and time. I need to make sure that my operations are brilliant. I need to deliver value and I need to create happiness. If I order a modular kitchen for my house and the vendor promises me 6 weeks, and then he delivers it after 12 weeks. Now he may deliver exactly what I had asked, so he's created impact, but he's not delivered happiness, because for 6 additional weeks, I was wondering whether he would actually let me down in terms of the promise that he had made. I need to be extremely good in R&D and innovation. When I go to my store in Dadar, I see the guys selling, doklas and selling rotis and selling bread. Those are easy to buy product. But because I've gone to the store to buy bread and dokla, I automatically decide to buy a can of peas, or I decide to buy butter, and I decide to buy Amul cheese. And as I buy the primary products, my eyes go on to the high value products, imported Toblerone, imported Kraft cheese, and all the other products that I can see around me. Maybe I've not eaten olives for a long time, so I could probably take that. So R&D innovation requires 3 types of products that you need to create in your business. Easy to buy, primary products, and high value products, which will give you the right kind of profitability. And then I need to have a very strong accounts and finance team, which has to deliver three impacts. They have to be accurate, because 1 0 here and there can create a lot of pain for me at night. They need to be good at compliance. GST has to be filed on a particular date. Otherwise, I will have to answer a lot of questions. And a finance guy, if he's smart, he should also be able to give me some insights. Boss, I've just been looking at the accounts for the last quarter, and I've got a couple of suggestions whereby we can run this business more effectively. Do I have a finance guy like that? So an accountant guy is this person who's going to be accurate, compliant, and also insightful. And then I need to have a very good HR team, which will ensure that we hire the right people, which will help us to coach them effectively. And most importantly, in today's world, be able to retain them. And the admin will have to tell me, boss, do I need to work from home, or do I need an office for my enterprise? Or could I go to a co-working space and save money in the entire process? And then I need to have a very strong legal and governance team. My legal team guides me on the kind of agreements that I have to create with clients. The non-disclosure agreement and clauses, the non-compete clauses, the statement of work that I have to deliver. I need to bother about insurance. I need to take care of security, physical security of my premises, personal security, and most important today, information security. And then, of course, in a country like ours, we have to be very good at governance, as is required all over the world today. I need to make sure that there is safety, health, and insurance, and environment that is looked after. I need to honor the labor laws. I need to understand advertising regulations. So therefore, there is a lot to be done in business, my dear friends. Otherwise, you can create a little bit of a problem for your sleep at night. And then, of course, if you're in the top management, as you would be when you start your business, you have to be extremely good in strategic and operational planning and constantly keep thinking about your business growth. Today, increasingly, digital presence is becoming important. So let me spend a couple of minutes here. If you're starting your own enterprise, you need to have a very good website. You might do it yourself using WordPress, but see that it is on the right platform. See that your website is mobile responsive. See that the home page, the about page is done correctly. See that the imaging is good. See that the landing page is perfect. See that the call to action is nice. You need to worry about your e-commerce platforms. Are you going to use Amazon? Are you going to use eBay? Are you going to use Shopify? Or maybe any other platform that you like today? You need to be able to understand what is the best channel to use to market your services. I today have to constantly think, is Facebook a better option than YouTube? Is it better than LinkedIn? Is it better than Instagram? Is it better than Twitter? Is it better than Pinterest? Is it better than blog? Is it better than vlog? Is it better than podcast? Should I focus on content marketing? Should I focus on email marketing? Now, before the pandemic, these things did not worry me at all. But in the last 4 months, it's a big cause of concern, because if you don't have the right guidance, the right training, the chances are that you could easily get left behind in the entire process. My dear friends, we're coming almost to the end of this presentation. I just need another 10 minutes of your attention. When you run an organization, you must always look at win, win, win. There are 3 wins that you look at. When I was in sales, I realized it was win-win. I win, the customer win, both of us win. It's a happy relationship. But when you run a business, there are 3 wins. The customer definitely has to encounter value, has to see value. The team that works with you, the employees, must be able to see career as well as financial growth. The owner who runs the business must see profitability, must see growth, and most important, he must see time freedom. A lot of us like to go into business because we feel we will be masters of our own time, but it doesn't always happen. Many business owners today are in debt, are in a lot of stress, they have absolutely no time, and they have absolutely no money. And then they realize that they take the right decision to get started. So, my dear friends, this win-win-win is very important. And as an employer, you must always understand the pulse of the team, understand career aspirations of, especially your superstars. Because if one of them decides to quit, then you could be under a lot of strain in the future. How do you stay the course, my dear friends? If you are in business, you need to be very strong in networking. You need to organize your meetups. You need to be a member of a professional association or organization. You need to constantly attend conferences and interact with people. You need to be part of your college alumni events, school alumni events, and touch base with all your friends who could probably support you in terms of developing the right kind of business contacts. You need to manage your time very effectively. Definitely, you need to work with a to-do list. You need to focus. You need to be extremely brilliant in the way you conduct your meetings. Yeah, have an agenda. See that a lot of work is done before the meeting. The meeting should only focus on taking decisions. A strategic meeting will be held once in 45 days for about 4 hours. An operational meeting will be held once a week for about 2 hours. And a daily meeting can be held for around 15 minutes with the team. Sometimes you don't need to sit. You can just do it as a stand-up meeting and quickly identify the priorities and the deliverables for the day. Meetings are extremely important to ensure that you stay on track. And then, of course, what is very important today is you have to use the past formula in business. Constantly focus on improving processes. Constantly focus on automation, systems, and technology. So PAST stands for processes, automation, systems, and technology. If you don't focus on past, you run the risk of becoming past in the future. You need to make sure that you manage your stress effectively. Take the occasional breaks. Most importantly, see that you develop your second level leadership team. Ensure that you build your resilience because there is going to be a lot of stress. Have a mentor, and most importantly, create a schedule at the start of the day and make sure that you fit the time slots effectively so that you don't get out of control. You will sometimes encounter dry spells like the one we are encountering right now because of COVID. Sometimes it's important, to save money when times are good. In fact, many good organizations created a crisis fund after the 2008 disaster that they had. And 10% of their profits every year were booked into a crisis fund to say, supposing someday we get into this problem again, will we have resources and will we have money so that we are able to continue in the future? Some companies in India have told their employees, if you're at the C level or the topmost level, you will take a salary cut of 50%. Middle management, you will take a salary cut of 20%. Lower management, 10%. And the people right at the bottom didn't take a salary cut. But the organizations were so good that they said the salary cut will be reviewed every 3 months. So in the month of April, May, June, the salary cut took place. On 30th June, when the company saw that the business was not seriously affected, the entire backlog was cleared in terms of salary arrears. The company just talked to its employees and says, friends, it's better that we save some money to pay our vendors, suppliers, because if the business cycle stops, we are going to land into serious trouble. I don't expect that to happen, but it's better to always be optimistic, but plan for the worst. And then the same thing they did in the month of July, August, September. Cuts in July, cuts in August, cuts in September. 30th September, the employees got the entire backlog of salary cuts because the business more or less was able to achieve its goals and targets that it had planned. So you need to have some kind of an approach to be able to manage these dry spells when they happen. Sometimes if you have got nothing to do, welcome that free time. Maybe you can use it for networking. Maybe you can use it to learn something different. Maybe you can use it to plan the future. And most important, you need to manage your minds, because the world has gone through a lot of these crises before in the past, and it has recovered and bounced back remarkably well. And we all are confident that it will happen again this time. And maybe something that I'd planned to do in the month of December, because of the dry spell, I was able to bring it forward and do it in the month of July and August. So the dry spell sometimes can help you to reprioritize a later goal and see that you complete it in time. And last and most important, sometimes, very sadly, in business, you might need to have an exit strategy. Because you got a great offer, because there were too many partnership disputes in the business, because you decided to change your career course, because you decided, now I think enough, I think I need to opt for retirement very soon, or maybe because of illness, or maybe because of burnout. Yeah, you need to have an exit strategy and ensure that you close the business effectively. So, my dear friends, to ensure that you succeed in the business world, especially as an entrepreneur, here are some good books that I would recommend that you read. Good to Great has been a great book for many, many years. Who Moved My Cheese just makes you alert to ensure that you don't become complacent, remain adaptable to change. Entrepreneurial DNA, The Lean Startup, or The Startup of You are three great books that you can look at in order to be able to achieve success. These books will help you with the traits that are required to succeed as an entrepreneur. With a lot of illustrations and examples, they will guide you in terms of what is required to be done. It will also show you the reasons why many businesses have failed. What happened to Kodak? What happened to Nokia? What happened to BlackBerry? Where did they actually go wrong in terms of managing their businesses effectively? And today, if you decide to become an entrepreneur, there are some wonderful support systems that you have access to. A lot of what they do is offered almost free of charge. AscentFoundation.in is a great organization. It's run by Harsh Mariwala. Many of you have heard of this great company in India called Marico. It's around 6,000 crores in turnover. We have another great organization called the Asra company.co.in, run by Anand Deshpande. A wonderful organization. If you go through the website, you can see all the tutorials that you need in order to be able to think through your business proposition and achieve success. At Dimensions Global, we also have an opportunity to support you, guide you in terms of being able to achieve success. And especially if funding is an issue, there is a great organization called Lead Angels, which have helped a lot of startups achieve a lot of success by ensuring that they get the funds at the right time in order to be able to scale up. And each of these websites will give you ready-made checklists, very ready-made formats, ready-made templates. You don't have to pay anything. So if you want to register your enterprise in India, how do you go about the process of Udyam registration? If you want to make a funding proposal to a bank or an NBFC, what is the 9-page document that you need to fill? How did you need to fill this right so that you get the approval that you want? They'll give you guidelines in terms of accounting and cash flow management. They'll give you approaches on how to go about digital and social media marketing. And they have lots of templates, checklists, and formats that will help you to plan your entire business and achieve growth. Friends, that's my presentation on moving from employee to entrepreneur. I would request Radhika, if you have any questions in the chat box, please read them out to me.
Yeah.
I will.
Thank you very much, Vincent De Silva, sir. The first question which the participant has asked is that what is the future of network marketing business in India, like Amway, Vestige, Oriflame, Tupperware?
Yeah, it worked. They have a lot of these pyramid schemes which are not very, profitable or not very easy to run, especially if you're a franchisee. In general, franchisees don't make a lot of money. Like, for example, if you look at McDonald's doesn't make a lot of money based on its, burgers and French fries that it sells. They have two aspects, two models which actually help them to make money. One is they go into a place which is expected to, grow in terms of population, in terms of infrastructure, and they buy a property over there, and over a period of time, as the infrastructure sets in and as the property appreciates in value, they are able to see a very healthy balance sheet. The other thing they do is, as they go around looking for franchisees, the franchisee has to, shell out a lot of money. And therefore, whenever you decide to go into, schemes like Amway and schemes like, McDonald's or any franchisee, you need to do your due diligence effectively. And I don't think that, see, becoming a franchisee of Amway or Tupperware, it's just like, operating as a solopreneur or operating as, a person who is going to run a small enterprise and hopefully make some money at the end of the year. It doesn't really help you to scale up your own enterprise, your own business, which is what the meaning of entrepreneurship really is in the world today. So I would say there are a lot of limitations as far as this pyramid market or networking marketing goes. Today, a lot of people talk of affiliate marketing. You must have heard of it. And you could get sucked in very easily and lose your money in case you're not very careful in terms of understanding how it works.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. The next question is that, like, it's not a question, basically, it's a request actually, that please give some strategic tips for starting a new venture at the age of something around 45 years for good balance between risk and gain.
You see, a lot depends on what you have actually achieved and what competencies and specialist skills that you have acquired in the past. And based on that, you will be able to plan and decide in terms of what is good for you. Yeah, you need to look at opportunities in the market. You need to look at threats. Like, say, for example, supposing I decide I'm going to, start a business of creating an antivirus product and selling it in the market. Now, on my own, I will not be able to sell it unless I collaborate with PC, repair people or PC sellers who will also, recommend my particular product or to whom I can sell this product so that it ultimately gets sold. So a lot depends on the market research that you have done, the opportunity that you have. And when you talk of entrepreneurship, I'm not talking of solopreneurship. Solopreneurship, you might try something and it might not give you too many returns, but you keep yourself occupied, you keep yourself busy, but it doesn't help you actually grow the business beyond a particular point. If you're actually looking at business growth, you need to be able to see what's going to be my business model, how am I going to grow this business over a period of time. Because see, unless you grow the business, there are chances that over a period of time, you will not find it sustainable, especially if you're operating it as an enterprise. Yeah, if you're operating it as a solopreneur, you might probably, just make sure. Although today a lot of solopreneurs are finding it very difficult to survive because they're not able to generate the right volume of business that they need. A lot depends on your own strengths and evaluation of opportunities that you see in the marketplace.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Can we go ahead for the next question? Yeah. Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
The next question is that how is the scope, and mainly, like, basically one person, he has actually mentioned that he is working in international business operations since 17 years, and now he wants to own his own international marketing company. So how is the scope, and mainly confusion start at the level of service cost finalization? So can you please throw some light on that?
See, basically, if he has worked for 17 years in international marketing, he has acquired certain skills. He has acquired certain, a certain network of people with whom he has actually been in touch. And he sees an opportunity whereby he could probably offer a product or a service, although today there is a very thin line between product and service. Okay. And then he has to make sure that he has got the right kind of customer, okay, who is going to buy his product or service that he wants to offer. See, because if you don't have the customer, you don't have a proper business model on how you are going to be able to find those customers and then deliver the product or service to them. If in terms of volume, you're not able to get the right kind of return, then it's going to be very hard for you to actually go ahead and decide whether this particular venture is effective or not. A lot depends on the idea that you have, and then how are you able to partner with somebody or have a team so that you are able to take this to a level whereby you're able to sustain it in the form of a business. Yeah, so that is something that you will have to research and find out very effectively.
Yeah, thank you, sir. The next is that next question is, while working as an employee, how to develop the mindset to work as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, basically I covered that in one of the slides where I said that when you are developing, when you have a mindset of an employer, of an entrepreneur, it's very important to understand that at least initially, you will not have an entire team to support you. Unlike when you were in an organization, you had different functions, different departments who would actually support you there. Okay, you will have to, you will probably have to be very resourceful because all the resources will not be available to you. There will be irregular work hours because you will have to put in that much more effort to be able to ensure that you are able to take your business idea off the ground and be able to achieve success. So a little bit of this will actually begin to, kick in as you decide to become an entrepreneur. What some people do is, like for example, when I decided to become a trainer, 5 years before I actually got into training, I used to visit business schools on Sundays and take sessions for the MBA students. I automatically build my student base in terms of my capability to add value. So that automatically when these students went into industry and they were looking out for a sales training program or a negotiation skills course, they thought that I could add a little value to the entire organization. Yeah. Although some companies do not encourage moonlighting, there are some companies, like some of the best companies in the world, which allow you to spend a certain percentage of your time in developing an idea which you can probably take up to begin and start your own enterprise.
Yeah. So the next question is that, if a person is an NRI and wants to settle down in India, what is the support system available from the government? And this is also applicable to the students right now in US and wants to explore various avenues of career, how they can differentiate themselves in India.
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of counselors available on those 4 websites that I recommended to you. You will have to probably look at, they have a lot of documents that are available and templates that are available for different people who want to start business. Now, especially when you're coming from another country and you're talking of having an NRI status, then there are not so many restrictions as probably there are in terms of acquisition of property, etc., etc. But at the same time, you need to consult a proper expert to be able to guide you effectively so that you do it right from the beginning. Because once you start the business, you don't want to feel hassled by all these regulatory authorities who say you did not get the right permission, you did not get the right approvals. A lot also depends on the type of industry that you are in. There are some industries like IT which may not have too many approvals to be taken. But if you get into something like food or something like health or something like pharmaceuticals, then you will have to work very hard to ensure that you have met all the standards which are to be honored in terms of doing business in this country or in any other country that you choose to do.
Thank you, sir. The next question is that is there any specific age for getting into entrepreneurship?
No, there is no specific age. If you see, Michael Dell got into entrepreneurship at the age of 13. Bill Gates got into entrepreneurship at the age of 19. Okay, Ray Kroc got into entrepreneurship at the age of 52, and Colonel Sanders, who actually built KFC, got into entrepreneurship at the age of 64. So therefore, today there is absolutely no age. You can be young, you can be old. It's never too old to start. It's never too young to begin. And we have seen the entire, expanse in the entire world in terms of who has started business. Age is just a number. More it more depends on your mental capacity, etc. There is a person who started at the age of 10 a courier business in Mumbai, where he's got a turnover today of 100 crores. Yeah, so age is just a number.
So the last question for the evening, that is, like, there is enough is done to get attraction from digital marketing, but still there is not much on customer engagement. Then what is lacking?
See, ultimately, digital marketing is a tool that can help you reach the customer and make sure that any customer who has a need for your product has not been left out. See, for example, if I lose an order because of price, I don't feel very hurt about it. But if I lose an order because I was not aware that the customer had a need for my product or service, I consider it a failure of my marketing capabilities to be able to reach out to people whom I could have actually served. Now, once I get the customer who is right for my business, I need to ensure that I do everything that it takes to see that he is satisfied and he is content. Because today, just like Amazon did, Amazon was the first company which said when a customer buys a product, you can go onto Google and put both your negative reviews as well as your positive reviews. Now, Amazon, when they started, marketing the books, a lot of book publishers were very upset with Amazon. They said, but how can you publish a negative review like that? People will stop buying the book. And then what will happen to us as a business? And, Jeff Bezos says, no, for me, customer is extremely important. His voice is very important. And we need to be able to get that ultimately if we are to ensure that our customers are satisfied. Yeah. So customer centricity, customer experience, these are all thoughts that are getting flashed all over the place. You have to understand what is it that you can do, and most important, what is it that you cannot do. But it's always important never to promise the customer the moon and then dance around him and give excuses that you were not able to keep him satisfied. Yeah. There are some rare customers who will never be satisfied. It was a mistake to have decided to do business with them. But as long as that is under 1% or 2%, I don't think it will do a lot of damage to your business. But by and large, customer focus is very critical. Yes, that's
Okay,
done.
sir. I think, yeah, we are now short of time, sir. So we'll end the Q&A. Yeah, sir. And thank you very much, sir. The presentation was very lucid and very nice. All the participants are appreciating it. And the question answer was also very interactive. I hope all the participants enjoyed the session. Thank you, Vincent, sir, once again on behalf of entire team of AMA for addressing on such a interesting webinar. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Radhika. Thank you all for your time and your trust at today's session. In case there is any question which I have not answered, please feel free to reach out to me via AMA. They will send me the email and I will be happy to respond to you. Yeah?
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you and good night.
There are there are lot of popping questions right now, but we are short of time. So I'll just ask them to divert it to AMA, which I can forward it to you, and then you can reply them to me, sir. I can forward.
I will do that.
And we are going to send the reminder card also, right, sir?
Yes, I'll do that. Yeah.
So participants, don't worry about your questions. Please send it to AMA on our email ID ama@amaindia.org, and we will be also sharing the reminder card. Sir, Nayan sir would like to.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we develop the program, sir, on this?
Sir, I think we already have a series of programs at AMA. We'll just try and stitch them together.
Entrepreneurship, employee to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I'll work with your team, which already has something going, and then we can try and create something.
It would be nice, employee to entrepreneurship a program, sir. 2 hours program or 3-hour webinar.
Yes, okay, we can do that.
3-hour webinar would be a very ideal. People from Trivandrum and other places they are attending.
Okay.
They attended the program.
Sure. Thank you.
Different parts of India.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Thank you.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Good night, Vincent, sir. Good night,
Good
all
night.
the
Good night.
participants. Please take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.